is the most natural thing to do. When you pick up the fork at a dinner table and chew on a juicy and delicious food. Every day, we take food for granted. Farming, transportation, and processing of food is all done by machines today. Therefore, we don't have to go hunting or farm for food. All we have to do is to go to the grocery store and pay for it. Life has become easier for some people, as the only thing we will need now is money. However, for the less fortunate, money has become a food barrier, mostly since the price for grain has tripled from 2005 until now. This is not a conventional food price increase. It is a huge food crisis that will not go away anytime soon. Good afternoon, honorable judges, teachers, parents, staff, and my fellow students. I am Patric, and today I'll be talking about the global food crisis. I'll first explain the cause, then the impact, and finally the solutions we have to solving it. The food crisis is due to a number of reasons. However, in simple words, it is our supply which is falling under the demand, therefore causing the prices to soar. Demand for food is increasing because of our enormous and growing population of over 7 billion people. Putting this into perspective, it took the world 3,000 years to grow from 4 million people to 2.5 billion people. However, it took the world only 50 years to grow from 2.5 billion people to 7 billion people. Our population has tripled in the last 5 decades. We're still living on the same planet with the same amount of land and resources. No wonder we can't produce enough food to feed all of us. Another culprit is the meat-eating population of the world. Meat eaters have an ecological footprint of more than 10 times as vegetarians. This means that if I want to produce 1,000 calories worth of meat, I could use my same piece of land to produce 10,000 calories worth of vegetables. As more people become rich and eat meat, we'll need more farmland than ever, not only to hold our livestock, but also to produce the grains to feed them. The third reason for the increasing demand for food is linked to the gasoline prices. Ethanol is a type of gasoline for cars that can be produced from corn. As gas prices skyrocket, it becomes more and more profitable for farmers to produce ethanol rather than food. On top of that, ethanol farmers receive enormous amounts of subsidies from governments all around the world as it is viewed as a green act. However, ethanol production takes away farmland that is usually used to produce food. In the United States, 416 million tons of grains were produced in the year of 2009. And 190 million tons of that was used to produce ethanol. Just to get a sense of how much that is, 119 million tons of grains would have been enough to feed Canada for 10 years. As the global food crisis emerges, I believe that it is more important to produce food rather than ethanol. Now I'll be talking about the most important part of my speech, the impact of the global food crisis. The impact is absolutely devastating in poorer countries. My passion for giving this speech was triggered when I learned that 100 million people were pushed into poverty this last year as they could not afford to buy food. I'll now give an example of how the food crisis takes its effect on an average person. Let's say I'm at work in Ethiopia and I earn $700 each month and I pay $400 each month to feed myself and my family. As the food prices increase, doubling in about 5 years, as they did from 2005 until now, I'll now have to pay $800, more than my whole salary, for the same amount of food. Now I would have no choice but to buy less food, or in simpler words, starve. Here's a story I picked up from a newspaper article describing one of the food crisis victims. It was lunchtime in one of Haiti's poorest slums, and Chalet Dumas was eating mud. As the food prices rise, Haiti's poorest cannot afford even a daily plate of rice, and some take desperate measures to fill their bellies. Do you think that this world is fair, where the poor people have to suffer from starvation because of the mistakes the rich people have made? To make our world a better place for the rich, we have to bring the food prices back down to normal standards. In 2008, US President Bush was asked what the cause was for the global food crisis. He answered that 85% was due to climate change and only 15% was due to the production of ethanol fuels. I disagree with his response. Although climate change does have an effect on the global food production, our food production has never gone down since the 1970s. In fact, it has been rising at about 2% per year. It isn't that we aren't producing enough food, but that our demand for food continues to rise beyond our supply. To decrease our demand, we have to stop the subsidies for ethanol fuels. Less ethanol equals more food being produced. To increase our supply, governments must impose policies that encourage the starting of new farms. If we can have a greater supply of food and a lesser demand for it, the food prices will drop. Then we can have a world as a brighter place, as hundreds of millions of people will be able to afford food again. Thank you.